Welcome to the Expert Speaker Podcast. We're here with Laura Beauparlant, creator of the Brand Camp methodology. We're going to be talking about branding speakers. Welcome, Laura. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Majeed. Excited to be here.
Would you start us off by telling us about your journey as a speaker yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been speaking for many years, actually. So this goes back probably 15-ish years ago when I was speaking to high school students. So I'll rewind a little bit further. So when I was 18, I was in a head-on collision with a drunk driver
Mm.
and spent 2 years recovering. And it was quite a formative time in my life. I almost died that night. So I dedicated some time after I was recovered and was speaking to high school students about that event. There's a program through a local hospital. And so I really could see how I was able to kind of shape these young minds and show them the impact of your actions and your words and those little things that you can do and the support I received along the way. So that was really exciting for me and I loved that. And so along that journey, I applied for a speaker competition and won. So that was really exciting. I got to share my story. And then I kind of hit a bit of a lull for a number of years because I wasn't sure really what the focus was, who I wanted to speak to, but I knew that down the road I would be speaking again. And so it was funny after that competition, I said, the time isn't right now, but 10 years from now, I'm going to be on stages. And it was probably about 8 years later that I started getting back into the speaking world and some of it to sort of the medical community to change some things there and then shifted into my business and branding from there and just started with small local events and eventually was able to gather some international events and wrote my book in the time in between there so that really helped with kind of elevating my speaking career as well.
What's your book called, Laura?
Brand chemistry, how to attract the right clients and keep them.
And how did having a book affect your speaking? You mentioned that it kind of took it to the next level.
Yeah, so it was interesting because anybody can write a book. Like it's kind of one of those things you can self-publish, you could put out something tomorrow. It doesn't even have to be good. But it was really fascinating to me how having a book elevated me in the eyes of people, right? And all of the things I've accomplished in my career in my life, it was like, oh, you've written a book. That just seemed to kind of really take things to the next level. And that surprised me. I was quite fascinated and I thought, well, I'm glad it's a great book, and that people really get value out of it and they want to read it. So what I started noticing is when I was applying for speaking opportunities, that there was a place to like insert the title of your book here. And it
Mhm.
wasn't even an option. It was like assumed that you had a book. And I knew that where I wanted to go with my speaking and my business, that having a book was going to get me on more stages.
Yeah.
And so quite often now I package up copies of my book with my speaking engagement so that the audience leaves there with a copy of my book as well.
Okay, so give us like the real nitty gritty tactics of that. So we have a lot of authors that listen to this podcast who have a book, want to get booked for speaking engagements, would love to have their book sitting on every chair at the conference. How do you work that exactly? Do you do like a discount bundle? Do you like work that into your fee, or how do you use that book to get more speaking engagements? And how do you get the speaking engagements to buy a bunch of copies of your book?
Yeah, so I've done it a few different ways. So it's part of the fee is usually the one that kind of works the best I've found, or that, maybe if they don't want to purchase the books, that there's a discount code for all the attendees. I think it's better to try to get that book into as many hands as possible rather than kind of leave it up to them on the back end. So I found that to be the best way to do it so that they get a bit of a bonus with like the books and you as a speaker. And then you just, figure out the pricing from
Okay.
there.
Okay. What advice do you have for people who don't know what to set their fee at?
Oh, it's tough. And especially right now with COVID, like it's really hard to even get paid for virtual events. I also know that for me, I get my business on the back end of speaking.
Mhm.
So I'm not as worried about making a lot of money on speaking engagements.
Yeah, we agree about that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can make way more if I get people to buy into, sign up for Brand Camp, hire us for the design work and the ongoing support. So there's a lot more opportunities to make tens of thousands of dollars when I can't make that as a speaker
So
yet.
what do you do exactly to bridge from the speech to the sale? Do you say, run to the back of the room and fill out one of the clipboards while supplies last and it's $99 today? Or do you say, send me an email, we'll have a follow-up conversation? And, this is, I'm sure, something you've probably dialed in over the years. So what do you do to go from speech to client relationships?
Yeah. And I'm all about relationships. I talk about that. One of the lines in my keynote is that, I want people to create a heart to heart connection with their audience, not a brain to brain connection,
Mhm.
right? You want people to choose you because you're the only choice, not because you're cheaper or more conveniently located. And so you can't do that with a run to the back of the room sale. And that just I never liked it when I went to events like that.
Yeah.
I just out of integrity, that's not how I sell.
Yeah.
I want people to just love me so much when they hear what I have to say that they're like, I have to work with you.
Yeah.
So at the end, I always give an opportunity to, it depends. I've experimented with different things. Win a free copy of my book. So they get added to kind of an email list and I do a draw. I have a brand audit that I will give away a certain number of those as a free thing. So people sign up. Now I have a quiz. So I have different things that people can kind of opt into. And I'm like, and if they want to just talk about working together, they can absolutely just bypass that and send me an email. But that some of those questions might come up in a Q&A at the end, but I leave it with, here's some resources, here's some tools, but there's no direct selling from the stage.
Okay. So you're offering an audit or a quiz or send me an email and then you do the follow-up.
Yeah.
What does the follow-up look like for you? Is it like later that day you're at your computer sending emails, or is it you got a team following up?
It's all automated. So if they want to book a call, it gets booked right. I send them to my Calendly page and they book the call. So by the time I'm off the stage, I usually have 10 to 20 calls booked.
That's awesome. That's what I do too.
Yeah.
Calendly links on the screen. Book your call right
It,
now.
it's life-changing. If you don't have a calendar app of some kind, run, don't walk to get something.
Yeah. When I find an entrepreneur without a calendar link, I'm like, what are we doing here? We're really doing the, are you free on Thursday at 2:00? No, how about Wednesday at 4:00?
Exactly.
All about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So brand audit, brand quiz. I know that you have this quiz. Could you tell us about this quiz? I think my listeners will be interested in taking this quiz. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So the quiz is designed for you to sort of answer some questions and it'll assess where you are in your journey. So I use baking analogies when I talk. So I relate the chemistry in baking to the chemistry in branding.
Bless you for
So
making analogies. Thank you.
it's fun, it's accessible, and people will always remember my cake analogies. So that's super fun. When you can create something like as speakers, when you have that hook that's like, oh, they're going to remember that story that I told about the baking fail with the too much salt or this or that. Like, so that's memorable when it comes to speaking.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've taken those stories. So you're either at the, I need a recipe stage of your brand where you're still figuring it out, right? You're still trying to find your recipe and what your secret ingredient is. The next level is like, you've got all the ingredients. Now you just have to put it all together. And then the last one is like, you've made the amazing cake. Now you have to build a bigger one, or you have to build many cakes. So it's sort of like you're either at that beginning phase of your business where you're still figuring things out, or you've got some things figured out, but now you have to kind of put it together, or you're ready to amplify or expand, or it's time to write that book, create that course, create the podcast, level up, or change something in your business.
Yeah.
So then
Cool.
I give you tools and advice on what steps you can take depending on which of those three categories you fall into.
Got it. Can you give us the link for that quiz?
Yeah, for sure. It's labcreative.ca/quiz. Super easy.
Labcreative.ca/quiz. Labcreative.ca/quiz. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So let's talk about speaker brands. I know a
Yeah.
lot of entrepreneurs, when they're starting off, they have the question, do I brand my company or do I brand my name? What's
Hmm.
your, what's your advice on that?
So, as a speaker, you are the brand.
Hmm.
So your name will always be the speaker brand, but you can have a business that has its own name.
Hmm.
So I have Lab Creative. I have Brand Camp, which is my program, which I'm not even calling a program. I'm calling it an experience now. I have to watch my own language. I have my book, Brand Chemistry, and I have myself as a speaker and as the face in many ways of the business. So it's called brand architecture. So you can have your parent brand can be your business brand. And then you are the speaker and you have your book and you have the different entities, and those are the children brands to that main parent brand. So all these things have to fit together.
So, Laura, when you're speaking and your name is on the program,
Yep.
it says Laura Beauparlant, founder of
Yes.
Lab
Lab
Creative.
Creative. Yep.
So, founder of Lab Creative is what's under your name,
Exactly.
not author of Brand Chemistry.
It usually has been, it's so I'll say founder and creative director of Lab Creative and author of Brand Chemistry.
Okay, gotcha. So, founder and what you called it?
Creative director.
Founder and creative director of Lab Creative and author of Brand Chemistry.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So tell me about this brand camp. It sounds very fun.
It is. So what I've done, it's a 2 week or well, week and a half experience for entrepreneurs. It's an intensive time together. I bring together 4 to 6 entrepreneurs and we develop the foundation of their brand. We do the deep work that you have to do before you can design the logo and design the website, which is where everybody wants to start.
Mhm.
But I really believe that you need to really think first and design later. And so what I found is that when you have that foundation, when you're really clear on what makes you different, and as speakers, you really have to have that differentiating factor so that people choose you over, the other speaker on a similar topic. So
Mhm.
you have to be really clear on what makes you different, why you do what you do, what is your position in your market, what's the essence of you and your brand. And so we work together to create this foundation document, and everyone leaves with that clarity and confidence to like go forward and know how to pitch themselves as a speaker, how to, go on their social media and be really like authentic and aligned with who they are and what they want to do. And I know authenticity is kind of one of those words that gets overused and thrown around, but when you are inauthentic in your brand and as a speaker, people will see right through that because they don't want you to get up on that stage and look like the audience because you think I have to dress in a suit because the audience is in a suit, right? Like you don't need to morph into what you think people will expect of you. You need to be you.
Mhm.
And whatever that looks like to you as a speaker, as a business person, so that you are really coming through and people can feel that. People can feel if you are not aligned with your brand. And that is when you start to attract the wrong opportunities, the wrong clients, people who won't pay you what you deserve.
Mhm. So you talk about what to wear
Yeah.
when you're working with a client.
Yeah.
Cool.
I talk to my clients about what they should be wearing on their photo shoots when they do a branded photo shoot, how that ties into their brand, what they should, what kind of expressions we want to capture so that we really see who they are
Mhm.
deep. Like you can tell. So I showed this on my social media not too long ago where I used to straighten my hair. I know you've got curly hair too, so I don't know if you've ever straightened it, but I used to straighten it because I thought people would take me more seriously.
Ah.
Blonde, and I was young. I was 27 when I started my business. I thought people aren't going to take me seriously. That was my own self-judgment,
Mhm.
and I thought the straight hair will help. Then I found a photo of me from a number of years ago with my hair straight and a recent photo I had taken with my hair curly. And I thought, this doesn't even look like the same person. I look so reserved. I'm not showing any teeth. I'm barely smiling. I'm not smiling with my eyes. Whereas the other photo, it's like all the crinkles and all the, you can almost feel my joy in the photo. And that's alignment. I got in alignment with myself and my own brand.
Yes.
And you can visibly see it in photographs.
Yes.
That's cool.
Laura, I've been wearing the exact same outfit since 2016 every single day. I'm not a fashion mogul by any means, but it has simplified my life.
Yeah.
But what I do change up a lot is my facial hair. One day I have
Okay.
a beard, the next day I have a mustache, the next day I have a clean shave. And my assumption is that it's not helping my brand to be changing my face all the time. Is that true?
Yeah, because that makes it harder for you to be recognizable,
Yeah.
right? Like it can be hard for people to go, is that Majeed? I don't know. He's got a mustache, but
You
last
know,
time I saw him, he had a beard.
I used to have this really poofy hair, and it was like my headshot with the big poofy hair.
Yeah.
And then I would get on a call with someone, and they would be disappointed. They would go, "Oh."
Where's your hair?
I was emceeing a conference for thousands of doctors, and I was politely asked to shave my mustache. And someone said, "We're going for a certain look." So
Interesting.
yeah.
It can, like I've spoken with, women who change their hair color all the time or people who are
Mhm.
constantly changing that up. I'm like, it can be problematic. If
So
it
really,
affects people's,
consistency
it
is what
could
we're going
be, yeah. You may think boring, and it's the same with colors and fonts, right? Like tools like Canva are amazing for businesses because they can take control of their posts, they can have branded things, but unfortunately, it's also given people too much like, ooh, fun fonts and oh, this graphic, and
for.
it doesn't work with your brand, but you're like, ooh, shiny new objects, I need to go for that. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to stick with your fonts and stick with your colors. It can evolve over time, but you changing this up all the time is confusing your audience.
Gotcha.
And so, I typically will wear something that feels like me, like, I'm wearing my yellow top, which is very on brand for me. But
You do
like,
yellow a lot?
I think this is the only yellow top I have, but it really fits me. And so I have, some different colors. And I did hire a stylist though to help me with my
Uh-huh.
wardrobe just to kind
Uh-huh.
of make sure that, I had some cool stuff that felt like me, especially for speaking.
I think I would really offend a stylist. I wear socks with sandals.
So you're like my dad.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
I think stylists they would have a lot of work for me. Anyway, okay, I've got a specific question for you.
Sure.
I work with a lot of functional medicine doctors,
Okay.
and it appears that they mostly do the same thing.
Hmm.
They do lab tests, and then they make health recommendations, and the result is that there's weight loss. And I might have 10 of them, and it almost sounds like they're really undifferentiatable.
Hmm.
And so then we have the challenge of how do we make you stand out?
Yeah.
And one way we do that is we sometimes have different target audiences. Like you're the functional medicine doctor of choice for busy moms, and you're the
Right.
functional medicine doctor of choice for athletes. But tell me how you would go about helping a functional medicine doctor who feels like I don't know how I'm different from my competitors to help
Yeah.
stand out.
That's exactly what Brand Camp is for. So I've worked with a lot of naturopathic doctors, as an example, and every single one of them is different and unique. Every brand we've created is unique and different from each other because it's not about what they're selling, right? It's not about the lab tests and it's not about the recommendations. Those are the features of what you're selling. And if you're selling that, you're selling a commodity. You
Hmm.
can't differentiate on that alone,
Hmm.
right? Just like I can't sell logos and websites, even though I do those things. That's not what I'm selling. So you have to switch that and focus more on the benefits that you offer. But you really have to get clear on what is different about your process. Do you have a unique signature? Maybe you do the testing and you do these different things, but you have a specific methodology that you've developed that you take your clients through. So the process page on our website is almost always in the top 4 or 5 most viewed pages on our website.
Okay.
People love a process.
Uh-huh.
that is about them, that they understand, okay, I get it. This is easy to understand. I know what I'm getting in the end, and they feel something. So developing their own signature process that involves still those tests and those different things, but what's their secret sauce? What is it that they do? So that's when we start to look at in brand camp what makes them different. And we go back, I look at everything from what languages do you speak, what's past life experiences, it could be a past illness, it could be you run marathons, it could be whatever. And so we look at all of these things that they do or have done and go, well, this is something that makes you really unique in your space. And we build a brand around that, as opposed to the symptoms or the actual tools that you're using in your business.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Laura, how are you using speaking now during our pandemic, where all the speaking is, virtual like this? Is it a big part of your strategy now to get the word out about you and get clients?
It is. I still find that, obviously they're all virtual, but then it opens up even more of the world, that it's like, I don't have to get on a plane as much as I would love to get on a plane right now.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not going anywhere, and it's easy. I can, still be home for my family, and I can be speaking at conferences around the world. I'm still working on that. I'm actively pursuing more engagements for this year. I find I definitely miss the audience, like
Mm-hmm.
the live, like being on a stage.
Yeah.
Zoom is, it's amazing if you're listening. But it's
Right.
also draining
Mm-hmm.
from an energetic perspective. And I'm an extrovert, and I absorb the energy of audiences. So like I leave on a high usually when I'm a speaker.
Yeah,
And
you
I'll
and I
come
met at a
home.
conference.
Yeah.
We met at a conference with thousands of people, and we were both kind of like in
Yeah.
our element. We were dressed up.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
And I get jazzed. I come home and I can't, like, I could never go right. If it's a late event, I'd have to stay up for hours because I'm just like jazzed and excited. And like it takes me a while to just calm that down. So, not having that facial expressions and being able to see people in the same way in a virtual event is harder. It's more like you're speaking into like a webinar where you're kind of just talking into the void and hoping that people are paying attention.
Yeah.
So it is more challenging. And yet it's also amazing to have new opportunities open up.
You mentioned that you would fill out a form to apply to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, what are some of your tactics right now to book speaking engagements? Are you like applying to conferences, or are you cold calling, or you're tapping your network, or what are you doing now to get booked?
Yeah. So I have my assistant looking for conferences. So she's currently making a list of ones with dates that would fit, that has the right audience. So I'll be working on applying to some. Some of it is tapping into my own network, reaching out to places I've spoken in the past to potentially get connections. Like, so I spoke at an event last October, which led to another one, and now a third one that's coming up in April from that one event. And it was a referral from that original event. And she saw me speak at another event. So it was sort of like I'm getting speaking engagements from speaking engagements too, which I think is what we all want.
Yeah. What are
Yeah.
some of the assets that you have that help you get booked? Like, do you have a
Yeah.
one sheet? Do you
Yep.
have a reel?
Yeah. So I have a one sheet. I have a few different speaker reels on my website. I have a speaking page on my website that has a place they can download the PDF of the one sheet where they can view some videos of me in action, as well as a list of all of my past or upcoming speaking engagements. That's more for a credibility standpoint. So they can be like, holy crap, look at all the places she's spoken,
Gotcha.
that I'm not just a newbie. And I, had a friend shoot a reel for me at a, like at an event, right? So like that we made up something, which you can do, which is great. That's how you get started. But I think a speaker reel of some kind is important, or some that's harder right now. So maybe it's just you on camera so people can see your energy and what you're like. But I think the speaker sheet and just having what I have is a document with my bio, my speaker title, my talk title and outline, learning objectives, and all my social media links, so that that's at it. When somebody says, "Hey, can you send me this information?" On my headshots as well. So I basically have a place where all of those assets are
Perfect.
together. So my
Perfect.
assistant can just, here you go. Here's what you need.
For the people who are listening and would like to look at what you're referring to, your speaker page and your one sheet, what would be the website for that?
So that's on labcreative.ca.
Labcreative.ca, and look for
Yeah.
the speaker
Yeah,
page.
exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, we are coming up to the end of our time. What have I not asked you that I should have asked you?
Oh, that is a good question. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. We did good. Where do people reach you?
So you can find us on social media. Lab Creative Inc. is our handle across all the platforms. You can find me personally on LinkedIn under Laura Beauparlant. And yeah, you can check out my book. It's available on Amazon, and we're also now selling it right through our website. And you get a signed copy if you order it through me.
Beautiful. And for the entrepreneur who wants to do more speaking and generate more sales, what's your best advice?
Just get started. So I think if you know you want to be a speaker, start figuring out what it is you're going to be speaking about and what you want people to leave with, right? And it can't be dry. I've been to a lot of talks where it's pretty dry. It's just throwing information at me with slides full of text.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like there's got to be a part entertainment factor.
Yes.
You know, your visuals are important. Your stage presence is important. I've worked with many speaking coaches to develop the whole talk on my stage presence. So, like, all of these things are important to have as a speaker. And then you just have to put yourself out there. You have to get that first one if you haven't had it already. Get your feet wet, see what it feels like, and if you like it.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Laura
exactly.
Beauparlant, you are a world-class speaker. Thank you for sharing your wisdom
Thank
with
you.
us, the Expert
Awesome.
Speaker Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Expert Speaker Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating so that more people can discover the Expert Speaker Podcast and so more people can be empowered to share their message. Be sure to go to www.expertspeaker.com and take the masterclass to learn how to grow your business and make money speaking. It's totally free and will change your business. If you're ready to work with Expert Speaker, you can apply. Just go to expertspeaker.com/apply and someone from our team will be in touch with you to help you grow your business with public speaking. That's expertspeaker.com/apply. We'll see you in the next episode.